Yeah, hello everybody. Good afternoon here at the CeBIT. Welcome to our short panel discussion about cloud working, the opportunities and risks of the new European Wirtschaftswunder. My name is Gunnar Börning. I'm the CEO and founder of Trago. We are exactly. Can you turn that? We are the biggest pan-European marketplace for online work, so basically which means you can, small medium enterprises can find freelancers, agencies for whatever you want, be it a programmer, designer, a translator, etc. And I'm very happy to be here with our three panelists today, which is Magnus from Kaspersky, and all of them will introduce themselves. Maybe Magnus, you will say a few words about yourself.
So I'm the Deputy Director of our Global Research and Analysis team, which is a team of 30 experts all around the world. And so it's already some kind of decentralized cloud approach.
Warm welcome, Magnus. And the next is Jacint from Open Data Cities, which are doing a very interesting project in Spain. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
It's here. My name is. I'm the general manager of Open Data Cities is the company, but actually we are starting to be known with Repara Ciudad, which is actually what we are developing, which is a tool, an app that you download to your smartphone, and it allows you to report the problems that you see in public streets that you see every day, just a few seconds. And since it's using a GPS, it knows exactly where you are in, and it sends it to the city council of the city you are in. So in a way, it's a way of really putting an easy, fast, and effective channel between the citizens and the city council. Basically, that's the idea. Right? So just one thing to say is that we started the platform in April, and in just this month, there are over 2,000 incidents in over 300 municipalities all over the world, but basically most of them in Spain, because it's the place where we have really done. We have been in the radios, in the newspapers, and so on. Basically.
Thank you. I think coming from Berlin, I know that we could really use your app very well in Berlin too. And the third is Francesco Ascari from Freelance Networks. Please say a few words about yourself.
Thank you very much for inviting us. We are a small company from Bologna, Italy, in Emilia-Romagna, in the north part of Italy. And now we are developing this web application for technical assistance. It's to manage technical assistant, and we're imagining this kind of application as a cloud service. So instead of install software or using this kind of files, it's made on web-based, so it's very easy to use. And now what we are searching to do is to convince in Emilia-Romagna that it's a very mechanical area. There's a lot of manufacturing for mechanical, so for machine, cars, and this plastic machine and this kind of stuff. And we are organizing to spread this kind of system, so digital and cloud assistance to this area. It's because this is very typically of Emilia-Romagna. So now we are doing this work, and we are very interested on your project. because a lot of our customers are freelance, quite of them, especially for information technology assistance, so maybe little companies or freelance, so 1, 2, 3 technicians, and they are using online service, first of all because it's cheaper and because it's faster and easier to use. So we are really linked with your project.
Yeah, thank you, Francesco. So, thanks a lot for coming, all three of us. Maybe I start with Magnus. Magnus, you're working for, I would say, a global player with a global reputation. How important is the field of cloud working already for a company like Kaspersky?
Well, at Kaspersky, naturally, it depends on the department. So in departments like marketing, of course, there's already a lot of stuff being outsourced to freelancers. When we talk about R&D, of course, it's a bit more difficult because as we're a security company, we need to be very careful. So there are like small tasks, developing something, just something basic where it's possible. I could imagine that, for example, analyzing some samples could also be one field, maybe, that could be outsourced to a certain degree. But of course, there's also, there are also jobs where it's difficult. For example, people who talk to the press. This is a field where you always need to have the same faces. But I would say the smaller the task and the easier it is to measure the outcome, the better you can outsource it. So we are open for experiments and ideas, and it will be interesting to see how your system works.
And how is the situation in your countries, in Italy and in Spain?
Yeah, well, basically, I think it's quite similar. It's quite similar. I mean, the problem is the situation. There's a lot of people unemployed now. I think it's one of the biggest problems there. But it's more related basically to financial problems rather than the way people are working or the way people are hiring. And it's a few years already that people are outsourcing what's not the core business. Basically, I think the situation is similar, but there are other problems that makes it more difficult to create employment at this moment.
Especially in Italy, we are a company of 25 years old people, so quite young, and especially in Italy there's a lot of disemployment of young people, but to the other side, these young people are the most qualified by knowledges, so PHP, SQL, some information infrastructure. There's a lot of very, very good university in Italy as in Spain, I guess, so the culture is very high for the young people. And the problem now is to find solution for these young people, maybe with startup projects, something that maybe in Italy middle-aged workers or 50 years old workers are not used to manage. For example, there is manager in Italy, not so. They are not able, for example, to use internet or to use digital system as the younger people are able to do. So I guess this is the real problem in the southern countries like Italy and Spain.
How fast do you believe is the whole kind of transformation? Maybe transformation is a little bit too much, but how fast is this going to happen? What do you believe? If you think about the Kaspersky, which is probably the biggest company I assume here in this round by far, how fast do you expect this to happen? Not in the core business, we talked about that, but in the other areas.
That's really hard to say because I'm not working in the other areas. But in general, I think, so talking about my area, biggest step would probably be to see the approach and to see if it's easy or not. Because I think the biggest fear of companies when it's about outsourcing is, will it cost me more time at the end? Because you first need to find someone, you need to brief this person, it all takes time, and then you need to check the work that was done was done the right way. And so if the infrastructure is there to shorten all these pieces, then I think it's much more attractive, and I would say this is then a really advantage compared to the old approach where you would just look for a freelancer in traditional job places.
Probably, I agree with. I mean, most of the things are similar. Basically, I understand that one of the problems is, as you were saying, to know in what task you can rely on, what other people are doing, first of all. And the second thing, I think that a lot of times managers are afraid of giving some tasks outside in order to lose control of them. So probably once we start overtaking these problems, it will be much easier to get more people working outside. But this means people not only in the country but everywhere, which actually may be not a solution for local people, but a solution, global solution, which has two sides, two blades.
Also, in some countries, I don't know, it's a stereotype, but for example, for Italy, it's sometimes difficult to work with other people without knowing them before. For example, I don't know, maybe in Spain it's the same. It's used to work with people you are knowing before. So the human contact from one side is still very important in the work. Yes, this is.
I mean, from our experience, what we see is that in Europe, it's a little bit, from my point of view, at the tipping point at the moment. So we are growing like 100% every 2.5 months, and this growth wasn't that fast a year ago, for example. So and we see this tremendous growth at the moment for quite some months now, and so something is changing, I would say, from my point of view. My next question will be, IBM announced just 3 weeks ago that they want to focus, or that they want to kind of reorganize the company in a way that they only have a very small core team, basically. Small means several thousand people, but nevertheless, and that they want to work with more with freelancers. All others are freelancers. Do you think this is the right way? I mean, IBM is a big player in the market, and will others follow? What do you believe?
IBM is a big service provider, and I think in this field probably it can work. I don't know if it can work completely, but well, for example, when we release a new product, before we release it, we need to do a lot of quality assurance, and this will be a field where it would make sense maybe to have additional people to check the product quality, and after that is done, you would not need these people anymore. So this is a typical field of cloud resources, and I can imagine that for IBM it could work in that field. When it comes to the research, of course they will try to keep their best people.
Yeah, connected with this, actually, I think that we have to divide probably the works you do in a company into different sides. I mean, the ones that you are doing all the time, probably these ones are better done or probably better solved inside. But what you do from time to time, or that sometimes you need these people, sometimes you don't need them, probably these are the easiest part to outsource. This means that it's not actually that they are outsourcing most of the services, as far as I understand, but probably they are outsourcing what's new, what they are testing. Some parts that maybe may have peaks and lower parts, so that they need some people sometimes they don't.
Francesco, I have a question for you specifically. To what extent do you think cloud working can be a chance to tackle the weak economic situation in Italy and countries like Italy? And how is cloud working perceived in Italy at the moment?
Cloud working, of course, I guess now is really going to spread. Of course, I have my point of view, like a IT company, so we work all day long about information technology. So what we see is a real movement of society, little small society growing, and of course medium society asking for cloud working, PHP developer, SQL. So because we are specialized on this kind of. I don't know really actually which is the percentage in Italy, because there is a big difference between north of Italy and south part of Italy, so it's quite difficult, and especially because in Italy numbers are something strange. Maybe there is numbers but not the reality. What I know that in Emilia-Romagna and Lombardia, that are region, I guess like in Spain, Italy, it's very different from region to region. So you can imagine that Emilia-Romagna is something like a German style, lifestyle, and even of economy. So there's a lot of company work on exporting, so there's a lot of business. And in Emilia-Romagna, a lot of companies are spreading about cloud working, and especially on information technology. So what is digital, what is startup, there's from between Lombardia, Milan of course, and Emilia-Romagna, they are working a lot on this kind of area.
Do you believe that this cloud working or freelancing, etc., will help to solve the problems in Italy, or is it just a side effect?
Of course, will help to solve that kind of problems linked with the information technology, maybe in some special sector of business. Imagine that in Italy there's a lot of business, not of technology. So of course there is maybe 10% of all the business could be very helpful from this kind. So I guess in that area, the information technology area, and in everything linked, so maybe mechanical area, and because in Emilia-Romagna there's a lot of mechanical companies, mechanical area could be really helpful. This of course, and we are first experience now. For example, 1 month ago we were looking for developer. I didn't know nothing about Wago, but when I really come back to Italy, of course I will write, because it's very typical of small agency in Germany. There is in Italy, there is small agencies, not so big, like for example in United States or in Germany, maybe medium 10-15 persons for agencies. So they're not used to work with 100 persons. They used to ask for people. So this is in Italy is common. Of course, will be more useful, more fast, and more intelligent and smart with the digital interface, with the digital platform. This will be for sure.
Is it possible to get the 10,000s of young people who are unemployed in Spain at the moment, to get them basically off the road once they understand the advantages of working as freelancers?
Yeah, well, basically, I understand. Well, it's similar. To answer your question. Basically, the situation is that cloud working needs specialists and with a good knowledge and good training and so on. Actually, this may take some people, but it is a sort of test, because if you are looking for someone with special skills and you find it in the people near there, in Spain probably you can give them work, but if you cannot find these persons these people in your country, it doesn't matter. Now the market is quite global, so you are going to hire people abroad, which that may even make a bigger gap between people are working or not. So that depends. I understand that on how well people are going to be prepared for the global market we are already in.
I have another question to you. So you are in very close contact with government authorities, be it from a city, local ones. How is your experience with that? I mean, in general, at least in Germany, the government authorities or the local authorities are not, I would say, that dynamic and that far ahead in terms of internet, etc. How's the feedback on what you're offering in your app?
Actually, I would say first of all that most of the time I found two different type of people I'm speaking to. First of all, they are really the old type ones, which is really afraid from new technologies and afraid of changing things that may become worse. And but also there are a lot of new young people that really are keen to enter this new world in a way. But there's one thing really important is that all of them, it doesn't matter the age they are or what they think, all of them are really aware that now people are asking for transparency, open government, a bigger participation of citizens, and they are aware of this. And in a way, for example, Repara Ciudad, that allows the citizens to report an incident in a few seconds and without so making it so easy to do it may make people afraid of publishing this. But if you tell them that the incidents are there, and the best thing is to know them and to publish them and to tell citizens what they can do and what they can't do. This may help other people to understand what they are doing actually. So in a way, I think that the understanding that citizens demand more participation in the public life. So much more than even what's that. That's just a small step. But I guess that it's just the first step of a long way.
We are coming to the end. Before, I would like to open that for questions, maybe if somebody has some questions. One last question is, what do you believe is in this area of freelancing and cloud working, however we call it, what is the next big development? What's the next big steps in this in the next upcoming years? What has to be in place in order to make it cloud working a broad market topic?
Well, as I said before, I think the biggest step is to make it easy so that at the end of the day, it's cheaper for me to use this rather than to hire someone at least for specific tasks. So it needs to be easy, simple, effective. Cheaper in terms, not necessarily in terms of money, but also in time. So I just want to, I don't want to spend more time on that because I'm fully aware if I use such a service, then the person probably will be gone after that and will go maybe even to a competitor. So I want to be sure that it doesn't cost me a lot of time and that there are not so many risks, which means to see exactly where this person will work in what areas. So if it's low risk and no time effort, then it's really interesting.
I completely agree with what you were saying. I would just add one more pro that I can see in this cloud working, which is that you can find a specialist that otherwise would be really difficult to contact. I mean, if you need a specialist for something very, very in a very specific field, it's much easier to find it globally than probably around Europe. This and besides, on the other side, from people working on very small niche, that they can sell their services globally, which means being much easier for them to find work.
Sure, especially, sorry, I agree so fast, not losing time, and especially that you must be sure that you find what are you looking for. You know, now there's a lot of services, we do make online web services, and all this kind of service sometimes make you lost time. You have to be sure that you put inside your data, so it's precious, something precious for you, but you must receive something important. So if I look in, I would like to find my solution in a short time. So this, I guess, if you have quality on the services, it would be really a big thing.
Are there any questions from the crowd, basically? So if not, I would like to really thank you all three for being here, for spending this half hour here and discussing about cloud working. I think it's a topic where we will see a lot of changes, a lot of development, a lot of dynamics within the next years. And hopefully maybe in a year we will sit together and discuss what happened last year. So thank you very much for coming, Magnus and Francesco.
Maybe you can take some, you can go there and take us.
Okay. Actually, on Friday,
You have my card. I mean, I will be there.
yeah, I don't know. Depends whether we'll have time or not, because But yeah, actually, we're going there, and that's why.
Just observe the
I've heard.